All right, so here is your Unit 2A quiz study guide. We've got some terms to define first. First is variables. Variables are just simple. We're just going to say that they are letters. I don't have my pen. I'm using a pencil. I hope y'all can see this. A constant is a number without a letter or a variable. And then coefficients are numbers attached to a letter or a variable. Okay, so that should be a refresher for you. You should remember that. Okay, so number 2 says identify the parts of a given expression. We're going to list, or not list, we're going to say how many number of terms do we see? Well, we see 1, 2, 3 terms, and signs are important. So our terms, so there are 3 terms. I'm going to go ahead and list them also. There are 3 terms, and they are 4x, comma, 6, comma, and then negative 9x squared. List the variables. Well, I see an x and an x, so I only have to list it once. List the constant. Remember, that's a number without a letter. So that would be positive 6. And then list the coefficients. That's the numbers in front of the letters, not the letters, just the number in front. So that would be 4 and negative 9. Remember, signs are important to us. Next, write each as an algebraic expression. 3 increased by 5. Well, increased is plus. You have to make sure that that's one you do not have to flip, and you do not. So I can just simply write 3 plus 5. C less than 30, so we know it's going to be subtraction, but if you look at your chart, less than is one we have to flip. So we're not going to do C minus 30, we're going to flip it and do 30 minus C. 5 is 10 increased by X. Well, increase is addition. It is not one we have to flip, so I can just write it 10 plus X, okay? So now we're going to go backwards. They're giving us the expression, we have to write the expression. It's given to us as an algebraic expression. So there's lots of correct answers on these, but I'm just going to give you one for each one. You can come up with others if you want. So this is 7 increased by a number, because I don't know what that number is. This is the quotient of 21 and 3. And this one is 2 times, that means multiplication, a number. So 2 times a number takes care of that part. And then increased by 3 takes care of the 3, okay? So that's finished with the first page. Now we're going to do some solving of equations. All right. So remember, our first step is distribute. There's no distribute. Second step is move the constant. There's no constant. Next is the coefficient. It doesn't look like a coefficient, but it really is. We're going to multiply both sides by 4. Those 4's cancel. That leaves me n equals, punch that in your calculator, you'll get negative 12. Number 10, still no distribution to do. We do have a constant, it is minus 3, so we're going to add 3 to both sides. That gives us x equals negative 19, and we are finished. Another one-step equation. 11 is a 2-step. We need to move the constant first because there's no distribution to do. I'm going to add 9. So that gives me 54. Negative 54 equals 6k. Divide by 6. Divide by 6. Remember, use your fraction key here. And that should be k equals negative 8. Number 12, start with the constant. There's no distribution to do, so we're going to add 3. That gives us r over 6 equals 2. Next, move the coefficient. In this case, it's 6. We're going to multiply both sides by 6. And that gives me r equals 12. 13, still no distribution to do, so we're going to go straight to moving the constant. We're going to subtract 10. It's negative 105 equals 7v. I'm going to divide by 7. So v equals, I'm doing this one in my calculator, create a fraction, negative 105 on top, 7 on the bottom, gives me negative 15. So there's one. I could have figured out that it was negative 15, but instead of trying to do it in my head, I used my calculator. So don't be afraid to use your calculator. 14, step 1, no distribution to do. So I'm just going to go straight to moving the constant. That gives me negative 25. Divide by the coefficient. That gives me n equals negative 5. Number 15, a little different. I've got this plus 3 here, and this plus 4. Well, I can go ahead and combine that. That gives me x plus 7 equals 13. Now, I can go ahead and move my constant, and x equals 6. Finally, on the next one, we get to one that we have to distribute first. So I'm going to take this 8, I'm going to multiply it times 6. I'm going to multiply it times negative 7x. So that's going to leave 272 on the left. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times negative 7 is negative 56. Sorry, I'm looking at one of the ones. I thought maybe I did a... Yes, I did do one wrong. Let's go back to number 11 real quick. Number 11, create a fraction. I'm going to do negative 54 on top, 6 on the bottom. Should have been negative 9. I put negative 8, and when I did 56 right there, that's what, I don't know why, but it just triggered me. So again, use your calculator. So there I am. I'm pretty good at math, but I still made a simple little mistake trying to move fast. So that gives me negative 56x, okay? So now back to 16. I need to move my constant. For sure gonna punch that into my calculator. 272 minus 48 equals 224. That's equal to negative 56x. I'm gonna divide by negative 56. Divide by negative 56. 224 over negative 56. I don't know what's going on here. Negative 224 over negative 56, negative 4. That leaves me x equals negative 4. So, all right, 17 through 20, we're going to solve the inequality and also graph its solution. I'm going to rewrite 4 plus 5x. It's negative 61. So remember on this one, we want our variables to be on our left-hand side. Well, that's nice because this one is already on my left-hand side, okay? So I'm gonna move my constant. So that gives me 5x is greater than negative 65. Divide by the coefficient. Remember, if I divide by a negative, I gotta flip this sign, but this is a positive. I only care about the number on the bottom. That gives me x is greater than negative 13. Greater than, no line underneath it, so my circle's going to be open. I'm going to go to negative 13, put an open. If my variable's on the left, I can use that as an arrow sign. It's pointing to the right. I'm going to shade to the right. Number 18. I'm going to do this one a little different than how we did in class. I'm going to move this whole thing to the left and move that to the right. Now when I do that, I need the alligator to still be negative 6. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to do negative 6 plus p over 9. And I know I'm going to have negative 7, but remember I need, if this was an alligator, I needed eating the negative 7, okay? So this means the same thing as that, but now my variables are on the left. I'm going to add 6. That gives me negative 1. I'll multiply by 9. That gives me P is less than or equal to -9. So now I've got the line underneath, so that means my circle is going to be closed at -9. And then I shade to the left. 19 variables already on the left, so I'm going to go ahead and add my constant. Multiply both sides by 6, those cancel. No line underneath, so at -6 I'm going to put an open. Use that kind of like an arrow. Basically I need all my numbers that are less than -6. Well, less than is always this way, but use it like an arrow. If your variable's on the left, treat it like an arrow. So here I see my variables on the right. So again, I'm going to rewrite this one. Still need this to be opening up to the 8 ends, so I'm going to have that opening up to that side. -110. I'm going to add 6. Add 6. That gives me 8n is greater than or less than -104. And divide both sides by n. So that's something I could probably, if I sat and thought about it, I could probably do that in my head. But I'm going to use my calculator because I've got one. And it gives me -13. Got the line underneath, so I need it to be greater than or equal to. So at -13, I'm going to do a closed circle. I need all the numbers that are greater than that. Well, here's the direction greater than is, but again, as long as your variable's on the left, use it like an arrow. So that takes care of your study guide for Unit 2A quiz.